Don't
What's
fuck it
going
up.
on? Yeah, thank you, fellas.
You're in limbo.
Treason, treason, bang 'em in the tower. Reason, reason, 'cause I own the power. Treason, treason, make 'em all understand. Reason, reason, 'cause I own the fucking land.
LA, and then Area 51 in Salt Lake City, and then Slimelight in London, and I'm sure there's a kick-ass one in Canada I don't know about, and then and then Austin and Elysium, and then the places in Germany that I can't pronounce. It would take years. It would take years to do that, and a lot of money and effort, and you would meet very few people very slowly. And our original plan was very drawn out, like plan this year.
Right.
And now we've been like exposed to all these club promoters and all the other bands, and like, man, now they're all asking us to play next year at the clubs that would have taken us years to build those relationships with.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. It's like
That's
we're at
crazy.
the right time to take advantage of the situation.
That's what I'm saying. There's a positive to every negative, buddy. You got to do it.
I like to believe so.
You got to take advantage of it. Like that's what I've been doing with this podcast. I don't know nobody's doing shit right now, so I'm just fucking going for it.
Yeah, when did you start doing the podcast?
Like February.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect timing. We were getting ready to go tour live, and I was flying from Dallas to LA to meet with my brother, and we were putting together a kind of stage presence and stuff, and we were trying different things and lighting and stuff because he has a theater out there and a studio out there, and then we were going, okay, we're gonna record out here in LA with Zoog from Angel Spit, and I'm gonna come back in February to set that up. Then in April we're gonna come out and record vocals for the tracks. We're going to get the last part of the live thing set up, and then June we're going to go to play these festivals in California, Arizona, and Texas. And none of that happened. But still, it would have been like just a fraction of what we actually were able to do.
That's
in the last
right.
7 or 8 months.
It would have taken
And the same with you. I mean, imagine trying to launch this or start doing this, before. The listener base is totally different.
Exactly. 100%. Though I am told that a lot of people that were listeners before said they would listen on their like commute to work and shit like that. So if they're not commuting to work, it's like oh well. But
that'll be the future. You're just building it up right now, right?
That's right. Ground level shit.
Yeah, and there's there's pros and cons. There's people that are listening more during the day because they're at home.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But who knows what the real balance is?
I don't know, man.
I've never listened to DJ sets at work before. Now they're everywhere. Yeah. And like every club, I mean, the kind of music that we listen to is like you don't have a lot to choose from. And now there's 50 badass, maybe 10 badass DJs, but like 50 really good ones that are worth listening to every single day almost. And all day long, 24/7. And it's like it doesn't matter what time zone you're in.
You can find something.
You can find something. It's just crazy. But good.
That's good. It's a good time. It's a good time for music right now, and a bad time, but a good time as well.
Yeah, and that's how we met Sapphira V, and we met James.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have likely, or it would have happened over a longer period of time. And we're already talking about another show that I'm going to come back on, Situation 47, in a couple of weeks to talk about how to do streaming music live.
That's cool because there's a lot of people out there that love to learn how to do that.
Yeah, and we've learned a ton.
Yeah,
we've learned a ton, man. It's been crazy.
That's dope. Wow.
Yeah. So how does your show work? How do we do this?
I'm recording right now. All I'm doing is just taking the audio, putting it online after this. You've got a great sounding mic. Mine's all right, and it's lickety split.
That sounds good. Sounds good.
Fucking boom. We just shoot the shit, buddy. Just like we are.
I like it. I used to have a podcast that was more business oriented, and then I quit fooling myself, and I was more interested in doing something creative around music. But I'm like, I'll make money off this, and I'll do it better than everybody else. And it was really about this style that you do that I really like, is that it's overhearing a conversation at a club or a coffee house or a bar.
That's right.
And you're just like, dude, I want to be part of that conversation.
I want to hear what they're talking about. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Mainly, I don't know if it was, I guess it was intentional. I know there's like so many people that I want to talk to, but how do I have the time if I want to do this every night? to do proper, do it proper justice, do all the research, come up with questions every night for everybody. I could just fucking talk to him and get it all out as organic as, as a normal conversation, as opposed to like, oh, well, where the fuck are you from? How long you been? Blah, 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 blah. I don't like the stale, rigid format. I'd rather just shit talk people and see what happens.
Well, that's good too. And you have a realistic approach to the production and the effort it puts into it. So you focus on the things that your strengths, so you can get more volume out instead of trying to overproduce it and edit it like crazy and take a week to put one episode.
Well, that's there's
okay
nothing wrong with that. People like to do that, and I've seen a lot of guys will sit there and say, "Well, I do mine in seasons or whatever, so I'll have 12 episodes and whatever. That's a 12 for the year." And it's like, well, that's fine, but when I put a tweet out on Twitter and say, who wants to get on this? And then I have a month full of one fucking tweet. I'm like, well, I guess I'll just do it every night and do quantity, because the quality's been, in my opinion, fairly decent for what it is, right? Like, I think I've had maybe like 3 out of 150 something of these things I've done that had like crappy connection. The rest were fucking decent. So that's not
150.
I've been going like I've
February.
done it every night. I've been going every night.
Holy crap, that's impressive, man.
Who's
who is it bands every single night?
Yeah, mostly bands. I've had some wrestlers on here, stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw the wrestling thing when I was checking out the site.
Yeah, my old me and my old co-host. Well, my old co-host talked to Juventud Guerrero.
So, has there been any bands you're still trying to get on the show you haven't got yet?
I got a few. I'm trying to get, man. I got a lot, like at every level. I'm trying to get. I want to get Seven Dust on here. I think I can make that happen. I'm trying. Max Cavalera came on once. He's coming back in November. I've got my one of my favorite bands is Dry Kill Logic.
Oh yeah.
And I've wanted to talk to them since I was like fucking 15 years old, and I got the guitar player coming on next week, so I kind of shit my pants a little bit. And they're like, "Oh yeah, for sure." I was like, "Oh my god, right on."
And how are you approaching? Are you just reaching out to them on social media?
Absolutely, 100%. I'm just hitting them on Twitter. That's it. Fucking Twitter is crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, and that's how I started too. Twitter makes it easier to make those first connections. The Facebook, people don't tend to respond to it. No, not everyone's on there anymore, but like everybody has Twitter. Yeah,
it seems like it. And I go on and off Twitter, but I've been on it for a while now. But I meet awesome people like you, Saphira, James, everybody. And that's how. Yeah, I remember you said you heard of me through Saphira and James, so that's cool. I appreciated that.
Yeah,
to get a recommend to whatever, but that's awesome. I fucking dig your music, man. Like, holy shit,
I appreciate that, man.
It's great. This setup you got's fucking serious. I know people can see it in the background, but you got your midis there, you got your board there, and like those mics are nice.
got a whole rack of stuff, about 10 sets of headphones over here, a bunch of stuff. I'm trying to now get the live set up because we're hoping to play live in a club. Yeah. In November, so we started hacking together the live setup in the studio now, and I don't want to take away from being able to record. I want to be able to record and not take it down to go do a live thing, and that's what we used to have to do.
Oh, okay.
So now I want a small kind of setup that has my, microphone, my amplifier. Wait, no, what is it called? The
preamp.
Yeah, the preamp for the for the microphone and the processor that I use. I use a TC Helion VoiceWorks.
Okay.
And it gives you a great harmonizer, gives you vocoder, kind of a vocoder, gives you incredible distortion. And you can blast this thing on a PA and not get feedback. It's like crazy. Oh, wow. Like it's like a secret weapon that I stumbled over talking to the right people. Yeah. And I got that in a rack, and then a couple things I plug into a laptop and just go for it. And then we're looking at adding a few other things so we could do more, kind of break the songs into loops and be able to play with them more. So if we end up in a cool club that has a great PA system, we can really jack with the bass and the dirty.
You could mix the shit on the fly as you're doing it. And
exactly. Exactly. Cool. So when we do it now on streaming, where every week as we're learning how to do it's more about presentation, and then how much can we add to it and get away with and make it more dynamic. So it's not the same thing every time for the audience and for us. Right. And and so we'll sit there with first week we were trying to, get everything lined up and scripted out. Okay, this video is going to play here and this one. We're going to cut to this angle on this one, have multiple cameras. My brother's like, dude, you could just hold the camera and it looks badass when you hold it. And people will see a whole entire show and I'll be holding the camera and it's a small camera, but they can't tell I'm holding the camera. It looks like a microphone almost. And it looks like I have 2 or 3 microphones, which, could work, but and so all of a sudden I can like do weird things with the camera and it's like super low-fi, low tech, but it works really. And it gives you these different camera angles and you can have ultimate control over it. So then the next thing was like incorporating the controllers and okay, well, let's load samples for each song in here and we're going to control those. Let's put a synth line in this one. We're going to just how much of the song you want to control, because really I want online a lot of the struggle is getting a good sounding production live.
Right.
And we really wanted the big beefy, kick drums and bass lines and stuff to come through, whether it's live or not. And so we know how to maximize compression and do all that stuff. And we're going to do that. So we're not going to sacrifice any of that kick-ass drum beat and bass line, just so we can try and play it live and all of a sudden it sucks,
That's right. You gotta do all the work in the studio and try and replicate that live and find out you fucking can't.
Yeah, and we could do it on a stage, a lot easier because you're just plugging your devices in and you have a lot more control over it. But once you're going over that streaming service, you lose so much control over it and so much bullshit can happen that you can't fix it.
What could happen? I've never even attempted to stream any sort of anything like you're doing. It's just fucking beyond my mental ability.
That's how I was. The podcast was probably beyond what you thought 6 months ago.
That's
so
true.
So it's not that far away because we weren't doing this and we were thinking it was impossible too. And then after we first did it, as soon as I got done with the first show, I'm like, man, I want to do that again. And I called up the guys at DOS Machine Nation. I said, dude, you guys are on. Can we come on right now? I'm like, we're ready to go live right now. We finished the show. We went right on to their show right afterwards. It's awesome. It's rock and roll right there,
Yeah, that's hilarious.
That's the new rock and roll.
That's the new rock and roll.
Fuck it. It's like you leave a venue, go down the street and play another venue immediately without having to do all the crazy setup to do it because you're already set up.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the approach we're taking is like, how do we keep that cool rock, risky, dangerous kind of vibe to it without being, cliche or melodramatic with a lot of special effects, blood or whatever, It's like, how do we, someone did a review, I think it was Ken Magerman did a review of us the other day. And he said, we're one of the bands where but our music is produced where it's in your face without having crazy guitar and screaming. And it's just as much in your face. And that's what we're proud of. And we want to have that while we're streamed too. So we can do that live. It's actually easier to do it live than record it. But it's streaming, you start to get like these lower bit rates. Twitch takes you down to 720p, which reduces your bit rate on that as well and your quality. And then you can have glitches and then it'll even downsample it more and more and more.
And that screws up your overall audio quality. And are you guys wanting to do like 1080 all the time? Like, is that what you try?
We want to do 1080. We're okay at we don't have to be like 320 bit. We could do 160 and be fine with that. I think most people can't tell the difference, especially online. I know some people personally that are insisting on that and it's tough. But we were doing a show a couple weeks ago, and I helped a bunch of bands. Angel Spit was one of them. I got to kind of see the back end of it and learn from them. Worked with some DJs, kind of learned from them before we did our show, and we were doing shows at 1080p and at 160 bit, and we were killing it. And it sounded so good. And every single response on there was, "This sounds better than anybody else. This looks better than anybody else." And then inevitably, the festival or the show would be like, "Oh, we're going to downsample this." So, because some people are saying it's slow for them because they have a slow connection. And I'm just like, too bad.
Well, that's not your fault.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to give you the best thing. So now, what I'm doing is I want to make sure we give the highest level quality sound. Because the other thing that happens too is you get these sound volume differences.
Okay.
Where one band is super quiet or one DJ is super quiet or the songs fluctuate a bunch. And we can, what we know from producing, we can control a lot of that, and we're trying to control it as much as we can and give the loudest signal without distortion that we can put in there.
Right.
And so then it becomes just about how much of the music can we pump through there with room enough to do crazy live stuff in case the keyboard gets too loud, or the vocals. And then we figured out, even through the streaming stuff, we can put compressors and limiters on it. So we're maximizing all of that. So
that's awesome.
You can get way too loud on accident. Like I have this loops that I'll feed back for our song Glitch.
Yep.
And I'll just loop them like over and over. Sometimes I'll do it for 2 or 3 minutes before the song starts or at the end of it. And then sometimes I just go right into it. But it can cause this really crazy feedback. But having that limiter on there,
you can get that. You can
everybody.
take it. You can take it as high as you want, and you're fine. Yeah.
Exactly. Otherwise, it'll actually cut our own signal out.
Shit.
So we're learning those things. Sometimes on the fly. Last Saturday or 2 days ago, was it 3 days ago? I found out that my handheld camera, my new one, isn't grounded, and when it touches the wire,
it sparks.
It shocked me, and then the DAW stopped.
Oh.
And it was in the middle of a song, so I had to restart it. And
shit.
But we got it back up. Only took a minute. But it makes it fun, man. It's like, that's real. It's like
no special effects here. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, and luckily I'd experienced it in practice, so I knew what to do. When I hadn't figured out the whole thing, then I figured out at that moment it was that wire. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, I remember doing shows. We did a show and a different incarnation of this band many years ago when we were doing more like alternative rock. And it was at a place called Hell's Gate in Los Angeles. And we didn't even know anything about this club, but it's called Hell's Gate. And we're like, we got to play at Hell's Gate.
That sounds fucking badass.
Yeah. Put that on the flyer. Fuck yeah, dude. Spank the Nun at Hell's Gate.
Why not? Yeah.
And the nuns are going to hell. The demons are gonna pay. And it's just we get there and it's like a redneck dive bar.
Nice.
It was like, and then we're like, dude, let's do this, man. We're playing like Bauhaus songs.
Yeah.
And they're just like,
what the fuck? Yeah.
This, dude? Yeah. And someone like threw a drink at us, and like there's electrical like things plugged in and everything's shorted out. And we had like tape decks that we were trying to loop, and they started eating the tapes. It was just like, it was a nightmare. But we're like, dude, we're at Hell's Gate. What do we expect?
Yeah, truth. Well,
it's supposed to be happening here.
I guess, but I wouldn't picture a fucking redneck dive bar with a name like that.
No, it's I don't know. It's LA.
It'd be like a badass metal bar, or like a super dark industrial, which would be perfect for Spank the Nun.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's deceiving. That's bullshit.
Yeah, it's
you walk in there playing Dwight Yoakam over the PA. It's like, fuck.
It's funny. It's like when we used to play the more Bauhaus, Joy Division style music a long time ago. We would open up, and a friend of ours, they were it was one of the guitar players from System of a Down. He had another band that he was in called something Bats or something. I don't remember what it was, but it was like grindcore, deathcore metal, and we would play before them, and their fans would be like, "What the fuck is up with you guys?" Because we were so tame, and we thought we were edgy. Yeah. And we watched those guys, and we loved their music and loved how aggressive it was. And we were just learning, and we had no idea how to make our music that loud. Yeah. But now we're like, hey, we could do that without the guitar. We'll come back, we'll add the guitar later to make it even better.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's crazy. Yeah, man. How has the response been for the album you guys put out this year?
So Bunker Tapes came out a couple weeks ago. Yeah. It's done really well. The first we did a 6-week pre-order, and we were raising money to support Klaus Larson and Kurt. Mm-hmm. And so they've been going, and unfortunately Kurt passed away a week ago, but we were just trying to help, whatever we can. We're not a big deal band, and we're not going to raise a ton of money and sell a bunch of CDs, but we ended up being the number 4 or 5 CD for 3 weeks in industrial on Bandcamp, which is way better than
that's huge.
Yeah.
For
We're very
anyone
happy
at
about
home that has never heard of Bandcamp, that's a big deal, man. Number 4 or 5 was wow.
Yeah, and
Good for
then
you.
ironically, who was in front of us? It was the new Leather Strip album, and it was
Wow.
produced by Klaus Larson. So he had 2 albums in the top 5 because
Nice.
he mixed our album and he had his own album in the top 5. And
Nice.
then it was a Frontline Assembly album, the new Jeremy Inkle one, and then I think Assemblage 23 on the last 3. I'm like, dude, we're not going to beat those guys, not yet anyway.
But you're there.
But we're up
You're
there.
in the conversation. That's crazy.
That's right. I took a screenshot of that, and I'm like, save that one.
Save that. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
tough.
that made us feel pretty good. It's done really, really well. There's constantly new demand for it, and then the demand for this one has created renewed demand for the other stuff. So we released our first single in June last year, and that was kind of like, let's test the system, let's go release something for the first time, let's go see how it works, let's learn it. And we didn't know a lot of people in the industry, didn't know Klaus at that time or anything, and we needed to release something so we could show people we were serious and see if we really were committed to it. And we got through it, and it was like, it seems like nothing now, but it was like scary at the time. And we put out the first single. We actually sold like 20 of them. We're like, damn, wow, we sold like 20 singles. This is pretty crazy.
Wow.
Like, no promotion, nothing, and people were just sharing it. And then I started reaching out to people on Twitter, like we were talking about a little bit earlier. And I had actually met Klaus before a show. Somebody introduced me to him that was at the show. And so I somebody else gave me his email. I emailed him, and he responded back to me, and we started chatting back and forth. And then we were just talking about what we were doing. I showed him the song that we released, so he knew we were serious. We'd actually put something out, and he really liked it. It appealed to like how he writes music, and it's very similar to how he kind of goes through the process for himself. And he said, we talked about it for a while, and then he said, okay, I'm going to do this. And then he said, do you mind if I do this and this? I'm like, dude, you can do whatever you want, man. You could throw the song away and give me another song. I'd be happy with that. And so he did the chorus on it. He found like this little loop bridge in the first track that we did that I was kind of a throwaway loop. And he's like, man, that's the chorus. And I learned a ton about how to write a song better, just going through that experience and right out the gate. Right. And so we put that single out a couple months later, and I sent the Leather Strip one to Scott Fox from my Varden Sphere, that I got connected through Twitter, just reached out to him. I really like his stuff. His production is so good. And it's another one where it's like really aggressive sound without, the normal types of stuff you would hear to make that aggressive.
Right.
And a lot of great rhythm in it. And so I was really looking for stuff that had really sharp production, and Klaus Larson is one of them. Scott Fox is one of them. And then so I sent the track. I said, hey, Klaus is doing this remix. I would hope, can you do one? And we talked back for a little bit. He did one, and man, his remix is totally different than Klaus's. And so we were learning kind of how this works and how to interact with people, learning how to send files to people. We've never met these guys in person still, like almost nobody we've met in person in this whole time. Okay. And so we were going down that path. And at the same time, I'd met Zug from Angel Spit, and we were talking about doing something. And once he saw that I was serious about releasing things and I was working with serious people, and he knew I was serious. And so we had a number of meetings, and part of that plan, like I was saying earlier, we were going to go to LA and record an album with them this year. But one of as soon as Scott Fox started doing stuff for my Varden Sphere, he's like, oh, you should talk to Jamie Blacker from ESA. You should talk to Colin from Slider. And his people with that same kind of production sense. And it was like that level of production that we were looking for without, not a lot of guitar driven music. And just recording in a studio at home, when you add guitars to it, man, it's a whole nother level of complexity. Adding women's vocals, it's another level of like complexity. So we were looking for what can we get away with what we had without overcomplicating all the stuff. And we'll get to those things at some point, but not start out with that.
Right.
And so these guys just started introducing us to different people. And this is even before COVID, and we were already starting to use the whole kind of social network and meet with people from kind of all over the world, doing work together. Put out the first album in January, and Scott Fox ended up mixing it and producing that for us. And he was teaching me things the whole time, like, dude, this kick drum doesn't go with this bass line. This is how this is how you can figure it out. Like, I didn't know shit about this stuff. And
Right.
And I was like just getting away with it because every once in a while it would be right and I would put that out. And I didn't know why it was right or why it wasn't right in some cases. And so just like this crash course on learning it. So that was January. And then the plan was to go play live shows off this album. So as soon as COVID hit, put a hold on that. So I started focusing on a remix album, reached back out to Jamie at ESA and Colin at Slider and Scott Fox again for remixes, and then started meeting a bunch of other people and once I had those out, everybody started responding. Not everybody, but all of a sudden it went from 10% of people responding to 90%.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so we put out the first album, the full album in January, and a lot of them were collaboration tracks. They weren't even full remixes. We just started collaborating. And the way I look at it is Spank the Nun is me and my brother, and then whoever we're working with. So we may collaborate on a whole album with somebody else, just like another person in the band. And it's just nothing is like precious to me. Like, I don't have a song and say you can't touch it. I'm just like, whatever, you go. It's out there now.
Right.
And so we want to just put out a bunch of stuff, make sure it's high quality, and just try to keep getting better and better. And so I was working on the remix album, and I all of a sudden had about 20 remixes. And then my brother sends me like 5 songs one day. I'm like, dude, what are these? And then like, it was the beginning of Bunker Tapes. And this was in February. And I'm like, man, I got like 20 remixes that we're working on. We're going to put this out. When are we going to put this out? And then he sends me like 3 more songs, like a week later. And then all of a sudden we have like 15 songs that he sent me. And then we start writing a couple other songs back and forth. And I'm like, holy crap, now what are we going to do with this? And then and then we thought about dividing it into 2 volumes where it'd be like the Bunker Tapes Volume 1 and Bunker Tapes Volume 2, and then go get some remixes. So the theme around it was, these are the songs you wrote once the lockdown started. And we knew a lot of people were going to do this. We had no idea that everybody and their mother was going to do this, but we knew a lot of people were going to do this.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like twice as many albums have been released, not in pop music, but in, alternative music for sure, in the last 6 months, which is a great thing. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
You hear these stories like, oh, Billie Eilish, she wrote her album in their bedroom. I'm like, how many bands have recorded and wrote their first
I'm
albums?
sorry, that's not that fucking impressive. Like, I hate that. I hate that shit. I hate hearing that. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I wrote a fucking album in my bedroom. Nobody gives a fuck. Like, come on, man.
White Stripes wrote their first album or 2 at home.
Exactly.
In the living room,
it's not this whole unheard of world that, the media tries to paint a picture of. It's like, oh my God, they're so resourceful and just great. It's like, motherfucker, there's a whole culture of people that do that. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Well, use a goddamn M-box and a fucking input and away you go. You're set.
And I mean, you even look at a White Stripes and that's pop music. I mean, it's very edgy pop music. Yeah. But I mean, they were there before Billie Eilish doing the thing that Billie Eilish
long before. Yeah, exactly.
And people are like, oh, it's this new thing. But it's good. I'm just happy the music's getting out there. But then you started seeing these things where the streaming shows would start popping up. And what annoyed me with it, and this is around March or April, and the original plan was I was going to go back in April and record record songs in LA, and we were going to start doing touring in June, and also we couldn't do any of that. So I'm like watching these bands just get up in front of a wall and do what they normally do, play a guitar and drums or a microphone, and they have a static camera just sitting there, and the sound quality is shit because they don't know how to capture that for streaming or for live. And and that's understandable, but I'm just like, it can be better. It can be better. And you slowly saw it start getting better. You saw different people, especially the high production artists and the pop artists. They would get a little bit more creative, or they would just stay away from it 100%. And then you start to realize, oh, that's pre-recorded. That's not even live. You start to see all the magic and see through it, and that most people don't know how that works. And my wife will be sitting there, go, "Oh man, this is live." I'm like, "No, that she's at home, like did this like 3 days ago." Yeah, it's like this is not. It's not how it looks like it is. And so I was talking to Zug, and we were talking about doing a live shows, and he was talking about doing it, and he's like, "Man, it's like he's the most rock and roll guy in the world," and he's like, "Dude, if Angel Spit can do a crazy show on stage and just pull off this mayhem, we should be able to do it in a more controlled environment." And that was the approach. Okay, what do you want to control now? And so we started talking about presentation. He had guys that worked with him on Angel Spit in the back end that can do live like effects that are just nuts, like crazy things. Like you see me do a distortion, I'm hitting a button, the distortion comes up. There's a dude mixing it in a different city for his stuff. It's just like just like crazy. So you start to put that VJ and DJ stuff together and live performer stuff together. You just start learning the system. And these guys had already started kind of figuring out how to get different people involved and figuring out. And some other folks did it. They tried to replicate their live performance. And a live performance on a stage is designed to be a live performance on a stage in front of real people. It's not meant to be rebroadcast.
Yeah.
And you've seen so many yourself where you go, man, it's, I can watch a Sepultura concert, it's always going to feel different being live and being there.
Yeah.
But would they present it exactly the same way if they were never on a stage in front of an audience of 20,000 people?
See, now that's, and actually this past weekend, I watched Corey Taylor played at the Forum in LA to nobody, or not LA, whatever, Silver, California. I'm fucking Canadian. I don't know who the fuck this is. It's a big popular, but
so it's half of California, half of Hollywood's Canadian. That's okay.
Yeah, there you go. Right up. So yeah, but he played to like a fucking empty Forum.
And what's the point of that?
Streamed it. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, it was all right. I'm a Slipknot fan, so that's awesome. But I was kind of like, well, doesn't it just seem like fucking bullshit? It's like, why would you go through all the crazy fucking hours of work you must have put in to do this, to play for? I think they played for like their wives, and the rest like literally just like an empty building. I was like, why bother? Why not just do it at your place
and do something different?
Yeah, do something different.
I think we get used to, everyone's working remotely for the most part. I mean, some people are having to go back to work, but if they can, luckily. But there's, people that are waiting for it to go back to quote unquote normal, which it will never be, in my opinion.
It's never going to be.
Right. And then, in fact, other countries already were dealing with this for years. I mean, we would look at China or Korea and go, oh, why are they wearing masks all the time? Well,
anytime, exactly. Anytime somebody has a fucking cold, they wear, and which is essentially whatever. That's that's, everybody else speculates. Oh, it's just a cold, but whatever. Who knows? Yeah, the point is, it spreads like a motherfucker. Wear a goddamn mask if you have to.
Yeah, exactly. I said it like in my show, like Saturday. I said it so much people were making fun of me in the comments. But the thing is like what we take as normal becomes a handicap, and it holds us back, So we're thinking, okay, we got to record an album, got to release it, and then we got to tour, and then we do that for 12 to 18 months, and we repeat. And that's how you do it. That's all you do it.
And that's your tour cycle. You just keep going.
Yeah, and you hire this guy, and he does this marketing for you, and you hire this guy, they do social media marketing for you, and you hire this guy, and they do your branding, and this guy's your PR for radio, and this guy, and the music we do is not going to get out there unless you get lucky, like a Three Teeth or something like that. And that could happen. I mean, because a lot of the bands, even Molly Cyrus is doing Nine Inch Nails songs, and it's nuts. It's so weird. It's so I'm so conflicted, but it's like, I'd rather look at Molly Cyrus do it than Trent Reznor personally. But I feel like someone's going against my religion. Like it's like sacrilegious, man. For sure. It is, but to me, it's like the things that we can eliminate now from that process or do better. And like just the fact that now we have connections at the biggest clubs in the world in just a matter of a few months. So like I got started, the zoo, went out there, said, hey, I'm going to do the show. Let me be on the back end of it, and got to help him kind of do the visuals for it, some of the graphics. So I was learning all that, and I knew how to do all that stuff, but I never thought about how you would apply that to this. And I wasn't trying to do it to mimic the live show. We were saying, what do we have that we can do from where we're at, different places, and how does each person participate? So every week, we were for like a month, I think it was like 6 weeks, we get together on like a Wednesday and go, okay, show's on Saturday, what's the theme? Okay, it's going to be Russian Chernobyl. What are we going to do? Okay, I'm going to do this and this other guy's going to come in from Chicago, he's going to do this. And and no one knows what to expect because it's so different every week. And then you start to like figure out how to take that to the next level and do different things. And then at some point it's going to be like, okay, now I got to play live again in a club, and I got to travel somewhere. Now, do I replicate that? It's probably not the right answer. So to me, there's this hybrid thing that you can take advantage of now, or you can wait and hopefully it'll get back to normal, but you'll be playing in clubs next year to 30% of the people you were playing last year.
100%.
And it wasn't enough people last year.
Exactly. That's, that's what I say too. It's like all these people bitching about, it's like, well, live music is gone. I'd give anything to go to a concert. It's like, well, where the fuck were you last year? Where were you 10 years ago?
Yeah, you guys quit showing up 10 years ago. Yeah.
When everything was normal. Like I worked security in a venue here, and I'd see all the shows and shit like that. And, you could see just a constant decline. Like there was a point in, I'd say 2004 or so, you could get 500 fucking kids out for just a local band, and kids would line up around the block to come see this metal band play. And now you'd have someone like so the last show I worked would have been Soulfly, and that was, I think the capacity at the venue is 243 to 300, and they were sold out for that. But it's like, but the last time they came through, there was maybe half that. So there was starting to be a resurgence, and now it's going to be nothing. Yeah,
here in Dallas, we have an area called Deep Ellum. It's kind of like the cool area town where all the clubs are at. I think the biggest club holds a couple thousand people. Most of them hold 300 to 500 max, and then a bunch of them are 100-person or less bars stuff. And all the local bands are metal. It's like all of them. So all the bands that weren't metal, and we're not metal, but they would sit around and talk about like how come all the metal bands get all the attention and all that. And there's always something. If it's not metal, it's something else, right?
But you guys would, I think you would pair well on a metal bill, because I was in like a hip hop thing, and we'd only open for metal bands.
Yeah.
Like I'd play I opened for I don't even think nobody big, never mind. But I opened for a band called the Great Sabatini. They're from Eastern Canada, and they're arguably the loudest fucking band I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
like crazy, and like my ears were fucking bleeding. Like they turn everything up as loud as they can and just fucking raw, like grindcore, fucking crazy. And we opened for them, so it's like shit. And you guys could kick ass on a metal bill, 100%.
That's good. I mean, that's one of the things we want to be able to do. We want to go test that out too. We did a cover of KMFDM's Virus a couple months ago in April, and people were like, "Oh man, don't do that song, dude. You're gonna get the KMFDM guys mad at you because they don't like people doing covers, and then you're not gonna pull it off, and it's gonna look really weak." And then we pulled it off.
We nailed it. Yeah.
And we felt really good. We felt like we had to put guitars in it, and we didn't. And we were so close to like that being the first song with some just heavy guitars in it. And we just it would be fun to do live with guitars for sure. I mean, all of our music would be, but I think we'll evolve to that over time, and then we'll make it a hybrid. I think Nine Inch Nails did a good job of that over time, where went more electronic to more live rock, and then kind of back again, and then kind of blend it, But I think going back to what you were saying earlier, I think that part of that formula where it's record, tour, I think that's a lot of the reason why people aren't even going to shows. I mean, because they're seeing the formula, they're tired of being force fed, and they don't know it. They don't know what it is. They're just tired of it, and they want something different. They don't know
They
what
do
it
want
is.
something different.
Yeah, but they don't understand it, but they're just not compelled to go.
Yeah.
And the reason I go to shows is very different than the average person goes to shows, you know. And when you write music, you hear music different. When you make a movie, you see movies different. You see through all the magic. You know, sometimes it's kind of disappointing because you want to experience the magic and you can't. But it's time to do something different. And this is when I think the time is. And so we're trying to maximize, man, we're going to play every single major club there is that we can touch online with every band that we can make a connection with, just to get our name out there, because it's about getting it heard. I mean, we'll give the damn CD to people. We don't care. You know, we just want it to be heard and people appreciate it, be able to listen to it, get to meet people like yourself that appreciate it, you know. I mean, that's the most important thing to me.
Well, it's all about networking, especially in this day and age. Like there's no excuse. There's no fucking excuse with Twitter being as popular as it is that you're not, you know, if you're serious about it, it's such a powerful tool to have. Like I said, I know so many people through Twitter. Yeah. It's ridiculous, man.
But you think about the people that you hear all the time that say it's just a waste and I'm just going to turn it off.
But I disagree.
Like, how could I do that? I talk to people every day on it, you know?
Exactly. You know, and I understand there's always going to be the stigma for social media, but I find that more towards like Facebook. And if Facebook is supposed to be more like for your friends and family, well, they're not interacting with shit.
Yeah.
They're not doing a fucking thing. I could go on Facebook and post links to whatever on the podcast ever. Nobody gives a fuck. You know, it's like, well, thanks, bros. You know, I go on Twitter, like I said, I put out one tweet. I'm fucking full till November.
It's funny too, because like your tweets, like I looked at the content between Facebook and Twitter for Limbocast. And the Twitter has a lot less information. It's harder for me to figure out what the show's about. If I go to Facebook, I see pictures from, you know, like what we're doing right now from the Zoom. I see, you know, excerpts from it. I see like little things and stuff like that. And it's clear to me what it's about on Facebook, but I could see the interaction isn't there on Facebook like it is on Twitter. And it's something I'm always interested in because it's different for so many things that you think it should work one way for this other guy, just like you. And it doesn't, the opposite works. It's so bizarre. And like I have a post the other day, I'm like, I have no idea why 500 people liked it. It doesn't make any sense to me. And then 3 people liked what I thought was the same post, you know, the next day. And then Facebook is making all these fucking changes that are just pissing me off the last month with the new look and feel that you can't find anything. Someone writes you a message, you click on it, it takes you to your Facebook page instead of the message they wrote.
What the hell?
And it doesn't even make sense, and everybody's experiencing this. And then they changed events so you can't even like share them unless you're not a host of the event. And it's because they want you to pay to do all this stuff.
Oh, see,
and that's what they're trying to turn it into. And we had a post the other day. We have an event coming up for Halloween called Too Dark Halloween. Too Dark Halloween, and we called it Halloween because Halloween will be easier to search for than Halloween. Right, because Halloween you won't find anything. And then Too Dark was a play on the Skinny Puppy Too Dark Park. And it's hosted by Dark Indulgence and Communion After Dark, so it's Two Darks. So I'm like, that's easy, right? And we can keep doing events called Too Dark New Year's Eve, Too Dark St. Patrick's, or whatever, you know. And it's easy, and I know from a marketing background that I was looking for something that would be easy for people to find and search on the tools. But then we go create the first thing, we put it out there, and it gets like 50 hits and shares in the first 3 minutes. And they take it offline. And luckily one of our guys, I won't say who, because
you have to pay for it to get more, right?
Right. And they like, we figured out how to get past their, you know, their algorithm and like get everyone to see it. Because the way it works is when you post something, they don't show it to your 1,500 followers. They show it to the first 50 most recent ones that you interact with normally, right? That have responded. Then they give you a certain amount of time. It could be hours or minutes or whatever. And they say, if those people interact with you at a certain level, then they'll show it to 50 more or 100 more. And then it's like 3 gates like that, and then they'll show up to all your people. And it could take 2 days for you to send a message out about a show you're doing tonight, because of this thing they've been doing the last couple of years. So
That's so
now if
stupid.
it goes too fast, then they flag you because they say it's spam.
Or they think you're a bot or whatever.
Yeah, and you know what spam is? It's a fast moving post that you didn't pay Facebook to get all those hits.
Yeah.
That's how they say what
So
spam is. They want
Facebook
money.
wants you to get. They're fine if you get the hits as long as you're paying for them.
Yep. So then, meanwhile, they took down our event.
Mm-hmm.
They took down our post, and the 100 people that had clicked on the event never will know. And they think that they registered for an event they're never going to hear about again, and we can't find out who those people were.
Oh my god!
And so we put our event back up, and then that old event popped back up again, and then went away. And then we put out a video, and the video is got professional voiceover and stuff because he just got close to the mic and said, "Too dark Halloween," But it's got a cool like horror movie intro to it, like. Just to play on Halloween because that's fun as shit. And that got taken down too. And no one tells you it gets taken down, but like all of a sudden you see 50 hits, 100 hits taken down.
Yeah,
you're like, is this a game?
I'm not going to give you $20 to let me have my fucking shit on your fucking site.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
whatever the cut. Like I remember when I tried to like promote an album, it's like, oh yeah, if you spend $30, you can reach 400 people. It'll be fine. It's like, fuck you. Like, these are my friends. Why do I have to pay you money to show this shit to my friends?
Yeah, and
asshole.
And people believe still, even today, that if they post something, their friends can see it, and they can't unless they recently interact with them. And I personally don't look at certain people's stuff, so it stops showing up in my feed on purpose. But if there's stuff you want to see, and maybe I want to see something from a guy that posts every 3 months, I'll never see it.
Yeah. And you'll just never. Oh wow, yeah, that's fucking interesting.
Yeah, it's really weird though. I mean, I understand why they're doing it. They're trying to figure out how to make money, and it's about
but like, fuck off. You've got so much already. Like, go to hell.
Yeah, it's just nuts, man. But it's and then Facebook bought Instagram.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and then so their Instagram supposedly is going away by the end of this year. They haven't announced it, but I've heard this from people that are involved in it.
Is it that fucking TikTok replacing Instagram type thing or what?
No, they're trying to build all of the Instagram features into Facebook and replace it with like another Facebook app that is essentially Instagram.
Okay.
And they've kind of put all the features into Facebook, but they don't work the same way.
Okay.
And I feel like they're missing kind of the point of what Instagram used to be.
Yeah.
But really, once these things, the nature of these beasts are, Facebook shouldn't even be around anymore. It should have gone the way of MySpace.
Yeah.
And something else should have took it over, because until Facebook, that's what happened. We went through these cycles where the social tools would just cycle every year or two.
Yeah.
And we should be on like 5 more cycles by now. It's like the Matrix hasn't reset.
Yeah.
Neo hasn't been found in like 10 years. Simulation is real.
The simulation is real.
It's broken. And we're in a loop. And no one's figured out how to get us out of the loop.
Took the wrong fucking pill.
Yeah, exactly. Can't take both pills. That's the problem. Yeah. So it's weird because I believe that this year especially, and we were talking about stuff happening last year, taking advantage of social media and being able to connect to people, and you using Twitter to connect people for the show and grow the show too, not just get people to come be on the show.
Right.
But you're constantly fighting this game. So imagine being a musician that, musicians are usually pretty fragile people too, and have a lot of emotions that they're trying to get out, and they're trying to deal with a lot of stuff. You got to be a musician and a producer and a marketing person that can master social media bullshit. But I'm thinking that all musicians should get into the social media stuff, because it will make them depressed every single day.
And then you can write about it.
And then they can write about it. Yeah, exactly.
I met my current recording project all on Twitter too. So like I've got like Jeff Vicario, he's in Finland. Hikikomori Pack's in Virginia, and my boy 0 Point Project is in Wales, and we all record shit together. And I'm in Canada. And that all came from fucking Twitter. But you're absolutely right. how do you you have to kind of know what you're doing in every aspect, as well as try to be a musician on top of it.
Yeah, I think you have to be kind of multimedia.
Yeah.
And I think social media and online streaming and all that forces multimedia.
Mm-hmm.
If you rely on other people that don't have your vision and aren't you, they don't have your vision.
Right.
And they're trying to make money off of you. So they're going to make decisions that are already tainted.
Yeah.
You have to know as an artist what your real goal and direction is. Am I trying to make this a business or not? Because those change your decision patterns 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're trying to make it a business and you're trying to grow it and make it, I want to have 50 people working for me, it's a different path than if I just want to get the music heard, you know?
Absolutely.
And you do different things, but the platform can help do both of those things. And it's always changing and challenging you. But I think you got to be multimedia and you got to be able to market yourself. I think musicians have been taught over the years or haven't learned that if you market, and you'll see some exceptions every once in a while pop up that are really good at marketing themselves. And it may be marketing themselves because they just have a personality that markets themselves, or they know how to get in front of people, or they get, you know, people invite them to things. But you got to be purposeful as a musician and market yourself. Every day I spend an hour marketing at least. I just make myself do it. And that could be responding to every single comment or whatever across the different platforms, reaching out to a DJ, going and watching the show. I don't believe in asking for anything. I believe in adding value.
Yeah.
And then building a relationship with the person.
Yep.
You know, what can I do to help you? You know, or offer something, you know, hey, I can help you with this graphic. I can help you with your logo. I can help you with this, or hey, can I share your show? You know, it could be something very simple.
Yeah, and that, you know what, and that's all it is. That's all that needs to happen when you're trying to network and build your empire, right? You got to have people that'll work with you, not for you or anything like that. But what I hate is guys that are trying to do what I'm doing, but they're fucking charging people for it.
Yeah,
that pisses me off. I talk about it a lot, but it's like I heard one guy say that he went on an interview, or he was supposed to come on and had stuff that had to reschedule. He's like, okay, well, I just wondered, is there a charge to do this? I was like, no, dude. He was like, oh, okay. Well, that's interesting because I just did an interview with these other guys. I don't know who they were, but and they're not going to release it until I pay them for it. So that's fucking bullshit. That pissed me off. I hate that shit, man. Like, I have people want to send me stuff. I'm like, cool, I'll take it, but I don't ask for anything. I don't ask for money. It's like, usually like, hey, I'll fucking throw you a disc. It's like, sweet, bro, but you know, I understand. That's your bread and butter too, so don't worry about it. I'm just here to talk to you. I don't fucking want nothing. Same with when I do the music episodes. People pay or people charge to get their shit put on a fucking Mixcloud list. It's like, are you serious? You're charging people to fucking drag and drop into a like, fuck you.
Heard of that on Spotify too.
Well, yeah, I've heard of that for Spotify too. It's like, fuck, man, it's ridiculous.
And I think there was a time, probably last year, maybe last year and a little bit the year before, when that was probably something that could build momentum for somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, you're paying for it, and I don't know how I feel about that. But
well, you got to think about the
now
return
it's not
you're
going to
getting.
work anyway.
What's the return you're getting from Spotify? A fucking 1/10 of a cent. Whoopie fuck, man! You're paying this asshole $50. You'll never get $50 on Spotify
if you pay
until you make a million streams.
A penny, it's not profitable.
It's not profitable.
Get
out there, get the top 5 on Bandcamp like you're doing. You'll be doing all right. You know, like fuck.
A buddy of mine sent me something a couple of days ago, and it said that Kanye West, like his deal, I mean, he's extreme because he gets like so much money, but the millions of dollars they give him in advances, you know, he has to earn and recoup. And just on Spotify, it would take like 3 billion plays just for him to get a dollar back. Like for him to break even with the money that they gave him.
He would need 3 billion. Oh,
he needs 3 billion. He struggles to get 3 billion. You know, it's just like, it's crazy because when you're on the radio, you got paid like 10 times more or 100 times more than you get paid on Spotify.
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't get paid the same as terrestrial radio from the get-go, but there's a different model that has to be figured out. You know, it doesn't make sense. And I'm not in that model where I'm going to make money off it, but there should probably be a model where I could, you know, and to me, I know how I could do it, and it would be charging other people to remix and produce, and that's how hip hop grew, right?
Yeah.
So hip hop, the way you really make money in hip hop, or used to be this way, now it's a little bit different now, but because there's only 3 record companies that own all the hip hop
That's
stuff.
right.
But the before, the way it would work is like if you got a record deal, you would get advance money, and then you owed that money back.
That's right.
Well, you could pay it out to your friends, and they all got to keep those checks, even if you never paid it back, right? They got to keep those checks. So then you could go do a rap on someone else's, a guest on someone else's song, and you got a check that you got to keep, and you didn't have to pay back to anybody. So everybody started guesting on everybody else's stuff and producing each other's stuff and remixing each other's stuff. And they were just exchanging the exact same money, but they had figured out, well, when I get it from each other, I get to keep it and I don't have to pay it back.
Yeah, but when
And
you get it from the
you could
label,
be doing
you
that
got to
in
pay
any
it back.
genre. You could do that with any type of music. And that's what I'm hoping will start happening more with kind of industrial and kind of dark wave kind of stuff. Is there's a lot of people are really like kind of tapping into this stuff. And like we were saying, Molly Cyrus doing Nine Inch Nails songs, you
Yeah.
know, and keeping it dark, not trying to lighten it up, you know, that much. And, you know, someone like Billie Eilish is popular and is very dark, but they're taking from something that doesn't traditionally get into the mainstream to make it that way. You know, Manson, you know, kind of blended some things together and stuff like that, but he's gotten very tame, you know, in the last 10, 15 years. You can only do that so long. But at the same time, there's people that want that stuff, and they're getting a glimpse of it from Three Teeth, and they're doing it in a very different kind of way than other bands have done it. But there's people want that like little touch of darkness, that little touch of, you know, the shadows, and they want to see what's happening in there, and they want to be a part of it. They don't want to admit it, and they don't want their friends to know. So there's got to be a different way that we can figure out how to give it to them, you know, and still be able to profit from it, you know.
Yeah, that's the key, right?
Yeah. It's crazy, man. There's so many opportunities that haven't happened yet that we could take advantage of and figure it out, and everybody be happy about it.
Yeah. Well, just, you know, there's so many amazing musicians out there, like within the synth community alone or whatever, industrial community, anything. Anywhere you want to find a decent musician, if you're not looking on Twitter, you're not going to fucking find them these days. Independent underground musicians, because that's, in my opinion, where the heart and soul is of music nowadays.
Well, we did Bonker Taste Volume 1, that the one that just came out. You know, we knew it would be good because we had Klaus Larson mixing it. But then we're like, okay, we're going to split this in a couple volumes. We're going to take 5 tracks and we're going to remix them 2 more times with different artists. So the 5 of them were remixed by like traditional Belgium, Denmark, German, kind of mid 90s, you know, kind of industrial bands. Some of them hadn't done anything in 20 years, and we were lucky to get them, like Gary Watts, you know, which was awesome. And we got John Meerlin and some of the other guys that Klaus Larson works with, you know. And then we went and tapped all the new ones, you know, like the James and Zephyr V, you know, and, you know, or I'll say Melody Horse, so people go look up Melody Horse instead of James. James won't find you anything useful.
You find Melody Horror. That guy's like the most ambitious fucking remixer I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
Him
you
and
look
Sapphira, to be fair.
Yeah, him and Sapphira, and then Chris with Upon Eventual Collapse.
Yeah,
and his remix, and they all 3 did remixes on there. And I wanted to feature those, and I don't think that's ever going to change. I'm always going to be looking for the, you know, those diamonds in the rough, and they're not even in the rough. It's because other people aren't looking.
That's right.
And it seems like that, right? So it's not even their fault. It's other people's fault.
That's right.
For having blinders on and not knowing how to look on Twitter like you're talking about.
I think that Burton Bell from Fear Factory picked one of Saphira's remixes she did for one of his albums. Or he remixed one of her songs or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, holy fuck, like I love Fear Factory.
On Dog Tablet's album.
Yeah, on Dog, that's right.
Yeah, and
that's crazy.
And I was super lucky to be on that same one, and that's how I got to know both of those guys, and or Sapphira and James, and then Chris eventually from Upon Eventual Collapse. Haven't met Burton Bell yet, but that would be pretty cool. Could always use a little guitar on the song, but
there you go.
And he could do it with probably one shot, and he's like done.
One shot,
you know. But But that's, like Martin from Dog Tablet, he's going to be playing our remix at a Pigface concert on Saturday.
That's awesome.
So he's like, dude, I'm just letting you know, I'm going to showcase your remix of our track. And so he had this very mellow track, kind of a bluesy thing going with a little bit of an industrial beat, no lyrics. I'm like, I'll do that track. He let me do it. And this was before we'd even barely released anything. And then we added lyrics to it and made it very industrial. And then we did a video for it too. And that's where the value add comes in. Cause I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go above and beyond doing a remix. Because the first approach was, I'm going to do a remix that gets his song played on this playlist I would listen to, because I would probably miss his track. I don't listen to the playlist that it would be on. So now I'm going to put a beat behind it so it gets in a club. So now his song will live forever because it can be played in the club, right? And then, so I feel like I've done a service to him. I've added value. And then I made it catchy, made it catchier in most cases, or in this case. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to do a video for it too. And so I put a video together for him too. And now he's going to be playing it in a Pigface concert on Saturday.
That's amazing.
With my name on it, and
that's cool.
I didn't ask for that.
No,
but it's given value. And going out there and just doing things and looking instead of taking, and just giving and pushing, putting it out there.
That's right.
And the things, just like the conversations I've had with Martin too, I mean, that guy's the drummer for Pigface and some just killer bands, it's just like
Pigface is so good too. Like, that's just it. Pigface is phenomenal. We had Fallon Bowman come on here a couple times and talk to us, and she used to sing for Pigface back in the day.
If you've ever, who you need on here is Galen Lee. So she's that violinist. She has some kind of birth defect, but they come out. She's been on tour with them, and she's in a wheelchair.
Okay.
And like she has like something with her limbs, and I don't want to, call too much attention to it, because she is like the spirit of this person that has more adversity in their life just by looking at her than we have ever in our life. And the things that we complain about just feel stupid as soon as you see her. And then she gets the violin out and she starts doing her thing. She starts talking after the songs. You're just like, oh my goodness. But on Twitter, you could find her. I'll send you a link to her because her name's kind of weird. But she's played with Pigface. I met Chris Mackey this week.
Nice.
From Pigface, and he's going to be playing our show on Halloween. We haven't announced it yet, so people are hearing it here first.
There you go.
So he'll be playing Too Dark Halloween.
Nice.
But it's awesome to talk to somebody that has like what we're talking about. We really connect on a lot of this stuff. And he has a marketing background. He has a business background. That he's a super smart, creative person that knows how to put those things together. And I could immediately connect with him on that kind of thing when I first talked to him. And you could tell that was pretty quick. And then Rona, his wife, who's just super, super talented as well. And we're just lucky that they're both going to be part of the show with us, and being able to pull that kind of talent into a show, but also connect on a level where we get what we're trying to accomplish and we're all aligned to try and accomplish the same thing. It's just, it's awesome. And then you think of a pedigree of some of these people, you go, man, that's the guy who was in Pigface.
Isn't that just always up? Makes it cooler. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
pretty crazy. Surreal, eh? It's like, holy shit.
It is surreal. And like, I got to say, I look back on the year that we've had, and, the remixes from, Klaus Larson and Ivar Spear and Assemblage 23 and ESA and Sire, it's just surreal to me, because none of that could have existed without like a few things happening, and it would never have existed. And I could have been sitting here thinking, man, what if I did something? What if I wrote a song? What if I finished it? It's not even writing the song, it's finishing it and getting it done. Right. That's really the key. Because everyone goes, I got 100 songs. And go, really?
Yeah, how many do you got finished?
Yes, exactly.
5. Just, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. None.
I don't believe in finishing songs. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. There's always an excuse. But I used to have my excuses, and sometimes I wish I had excuses now, but now I know I can do it, so I have to do it.
Yeah, now you know you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. That's so funny.
And so we're gonna be we're focusing on these live shows now for the next couple months. So we're doing stuff in all through October, building up to the Halloween show. We're trying to figure out how to do cool stuff with green screens like I have behind me now. Looking at putting a green screen sleeve on, so my hand looks like it's floating when it's holding the mic and doing stuff. And then trying to figure out how to make it look like blood's coming out of it. I mean, that's the things that are on my mind right now. Like we're trying to figure that
That's
out.
amazing.
And then, which you couldn't do on stage,
Mm-mm.
you know, you would do for a video one time ever,
That's
and
right.
someone else would help you do it, and you would never think about it again. Now you're like, this is part of the show. I could do
No,
this.
I can do this. Yeah.
How can I wear a green screen shirt, you know, and my head floating? You know, it's like that's the things I'm thinking about.
Just gotta
And
get
so
a
for
whole
Halloween, we're just
green
going way out.
bodysuit. And, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And then we've signed up for a couple shows, couple in Texas where we're going to be playing in actual venues.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see how the venues do. We're looking through December. We're already planning a New Year's event that we're going to host after the Halloween event. And then we're planning on putting Bunker Tapes 2 out in January, which we already have all the songs done. We're trying to decide who's going to mix them. You know, do we want to do Klaus again, which is always a win, or do, you know, I would like to do like another Belgium band like Front 242 or something like, or a Canadian band like Frontline Assembly. Bill Lee, come on, listen to this.
There you go. If you're listening,
You're in town, man. Bill Lee, listen to this. Reese Fulber, I'll take Reese Fulber. That's all I need. Give me a Canadian. Give me Kevin Key. I don't know. Give me somebody. Give me a legendary Canadian music. You know, but you know, it's, you know, so we got to start getting those ones done, and then we're gonna do a couple holiday songs. So we got a Halloween song coming out that we're gonna release at the show, and then we're gonna do a Christmas song that's coming out, and it's basically it's super dark. And the way and we're doing too dark, and that's not too dark Christmas. That's what we should call it, but it's called like the Nightmare Before Christmas or something like that. And we're doing that show, and we're gonna bring some just like hellacious Christmas songs that we've been doing a long time just for fun.
Yeah.
But like, it's like, imagine like Wumpscut doing Jingle Bells, you know, or Leatherstrip doing Jingle Bells, and like seriously doing it, not like as a joke.
Not as a joke. Okay.
Yeah, like this is a real, like they originally
they wrote the song. Yeah.
Okay. So the approach we're taking to these songs is most Christmas stories originate like these grim stories, like these really dark places, right? Like even Santa Claus has like a dark history, and then you try to add Krampus into it or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's so much to dig into, and we're like, dude, what if we, you know, really went back to like this European origins of these like dark stories that people used to tell, you know, to scare their kids, even at Christmas time, you know, because Christmas is just a holiday we made up in the last 100 years anyway.
That's right.
But, you know, it's like, hey, we need to tell people when to buy stuff. You know? So that's actually why Thanksgiving was created too, is like to tell you when to start buying stuff for Christmas. It's like it's
Black Friday and all.
Yeah, I can go into that for an hour, but you know, so we wanted to go back into like these dark, like original kind of grim, like angles on the songs, and like not and take it seriously, not like do it as like a joke,
right?
Because we could have a lot of fun with it, you know, just like joking around in the studio and stuff like that, going just start busting a Christmas song, you know, like really deep or like to a crazy beat or something. But we're like, dude, let's take it back to the origins of how they did it 300-400 years ago, what the mindset was, but we're using current technology to do it.
Jesus Christ.
So that's what we're going to bring to the Christmas show.
That's awesome.
So it's going to be fun to see how much we can get done before that.
Yeah.
We have a very ambitious idea of how many songs we want to get done.
Are you doing a show? You're doing a show every weekend type thing all the way up?
We're starting to get looped into a lot of shows. So we're doing one this weekend for DOS Machine, Texas. We're doing one. I'm going to do a couple DJ shows too. I used to DJ a long time ago. And I signed up for a few DJ shows just because I wanted to kind of stretch a little bit and kind of do something kind of outside the music, just to give me another perspective on it too, because I think that helps. And I was having a lot of fun this weekend mixing the bunker tape songs together because we had rewrote them with the intention of making them super easy for DJs to mix. They're all 130 beats per minute, every single song on there, every single one of them. So you can't tell me you can't mix these songs. They all have lead ins and they all have lead outs, and we have we're very conscious about talking to DJs and say, what do you need to make song? And we said, dude, let's make a traditional Denmark, Belgium, German EBM 1994 kind of beat with modern technology, making it easy for DJs to mix. So and they're all in the same key too. So come on now.
There you go.
They're all
No
in the same
excuses.
key.
You're
they're
giving
all
it
in
to
E
them.
minor.
Yeah.
So they all match. You could play them on top of each other if
fine.
it works.
Yeah.
So I was having fun. I knew I wanted to mix them at some time myself live. So I've been having fun, getting, kind of brushing off the cobwebs and kind of mixing them together and stuff. So I'll be doing a show this Sunday on Constantine Radio, where I'm going to do like 90 minutes of all Spank the Nun songs, including 30 minutes of unreleased songs that we have no plan to release, and just weirdness, like weird stuff we're testing out for Halloween and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Kind of pushing it. Just have fun with it,
Yeah, man. Why not? It's worked to this point for you. It's working well.
Well, I don't want to get stuck into something that we have to do. Because I don't think I would enjoy it.
Yeah.
If everyone said, hey, I want to hear the album version. Like someone was asking me about that the other day. They're like, oh, you guys, are doing the album version. And go, we've never done the album version of any song live. Every single one's different. And some of them are very different, but you can't tell because you're not used to it yet.
Right.
You haven't been listening to it for 5 years.
It just sounds like that. Yeah, exactly. It just sounds like that's how it is.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not going to go and all of a sudden do like a chilled out trip hop version of one of our songs,
right.
just to throw you off, but unless we feel like it, I guess. But, we'll have fun with it, but we're going to give you the song you want to hear. We're going to give you the groove you want to hear, but we're going to do it in a way that makes us happy doing it over and over again too.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah,
that's the most important thing.
Yeah, we got a lot planned. We have a goal of hitting 100 songs by the end of the year. We've released 85 songs since June last year.
Holy shit!
So we'll be at 100. So in that number, it includes like 20 remixes. So a couple weeks ago, a Red Locust remix that we did for Madman, which is their top song right now on Spotify.
Wow.
We did the Dog Tablet one a few months ago. That's their top song on Spotify. So we're trying to, pick these bands that really, kind of have a pedigree and help elevate us in doing a better job in remixing as well. So we got another group of remixes that are coming out. Something came out this week. I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, it was Diverge. We did a remix for Diverge, which are more of an agro-tech, very, very aggressive band. And we had a lot of fun with those remixes. It came out last week. And then we did, White Noise TV, which is more like a kind of a synth pop, industrial Covenant style, VNV Nation style, which is
I love VNV
really,
Nation.
Oh yeah, they're awesome. And they did a live show like a month ago that was incredible.
Oh wow. It
was really, really good. And it's really hard to find it anywhere in good quality. But the White Noise TV one was like, wow, these guys could be at that level. And we were introduced to them from working with Klaus Larson. So we did a remix for them that finally came out this weekend. And the whole intention was taking that song that they did, and it really kind of had a certain audience for it. And I wanted to kind of expand their audience to a larger, or not a larger audience, but a different audience, so to grow their audience. And then we have some remixes coming out through the rest of the year. So even if we didn't release anything, we still have remixes coming out all the time. And part of the idea around remix, or the whole idea around remixes, was learning, the craft, but also seeing kind of how other people do it. And we're not emulating what they do, but we learn from how they put together stuff and seeing different ways to do it. But also growing our brand, because if their fan base is already established and they hear a remix they really like from us, then we're hoping to get some of those people that convert over. And we had a lot of people this weekend said they heard of us because of Angel Spit, and
Nice.
he did something with us very early on.
Mm-hmm.
And he also has been really good at promoting. He'll call me like every 2 or 3 weeks. Hey, Eric, I'm going to send out DJ blast. What song do you want me to send out? You know, and those things are awesome because not everybody does that, you know, and we're not on a label.
Mm-hmm.
We're independent. And if we were on a label, I've been told this by a couple of labels. They said the first thing we do is tell you to stop releasing so much music and stop working with everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we could do that. No, not right now, that's for sure.
No.
That would feel like retirement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why would you see? I don't understand that. I understand that approach at all. You know, why would you stop?
Have you had anyone not be able to come onto your show because of some weird record label rule or something like that?
No. No.
We've had them for shows like the Halloween thing. We've had some weird things like, well, we got to be the headlining act. I'm like, well, can you tell me who the headlining act is? Because we're not.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
We're not doing headlining acts. We're just doing everybody's playing, and we're going to schedule bands to play when their country is listening. You know.
Exactly.
You know, we're not going to play the German band at midnight or 10 o'clock at night in U.S. because it's 5 a.m.
5 a.m. in Germany. Yeah.
You know, it's like we're going to play them at 3 p.m. in the U.S. You know, so it's 10 p.m.
So it's 10 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like we get some weird, we're like, okay, not interested, move on.
Yeah, I think I'd probably run into that. I probably would run into that like pre-COVID if I was going, you know.
That's
but now it's
probably
kind of like, well, fuck, you know.
That's true.
We gotta try and stay as relevant as possible during this shit, you know. So I mean, maybe that's something to do. When this all blows over, I'll have nobody to talk to. That'll be it.
Now you're establishing the baseline with the fans and with the contacts, because before, I mean, even before you were doing this, it's like, you imagine sitting down, you're thinking like, how am I even going to get a hold of these people, right?
Dude, that's literally exactly. I had no fucking idea, and it was literally people asked, "How do you get touch the person?" I said, "I emailed them."
Yeah, like what? What's
what
this
do you mean
magic
you
called
emailed them? I
email?
was like, "Bro, I emailed them. That's it."
How'd you do that?
Yeah, I went on fucking Facebook, found out who their managers were, emailed their manager, and away I went.
Yeah. And you go on Bandcamp, it says contact the damn man on there.
Contact
whoever. And you just right click on it, it shows you the email.
Good to go. That's it.
Yep.
That was like when I
sometimes you see it's a label and you're like, oh, not that one. Let me keep
not that
I'll
one.
go to Twitter instead.
Yeah, exactly. I emailed a couple of people I didn't think I'd ever have a hope in hell with. Fallon Bowen was one of them. I emailed her and she's like, oh yeah, for sure. That was back in August. She's been on 3 times now, so that was cool.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and then the other one was Christian Machado from El Nino.
Oh yeah.
And I emailed his manager because I knew he was putting an album out, and he's like, "Oh yeah, for sure." Now he's been on twice. He's coming on again, where he's going to do something once a month. So like, that's just fucking crazy to me.
Do you know what country he's in? Is he in like
he's in the States now? He's from South America.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from South America, but now he's up in LA now. California.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of the South American ones end up in LA. But we've had a lot of luck with the Australian shows and the Australian bands and the South American ones. And sometimes we'll be talking to them and they'll be in Brazil. Then all of a sudden, 3 months later, they're in LA.
Yeah.
But, you know, that we've had a lot of luck. They're like our biggest fan base. Like we added 100 people on Facebook over the weekend and they were almost all from South America, mostly in Mexico. Yeah. But it's just South America, Australia, and Germany have been are the biggest patches of our fan base that we see. I mean, we've only got, 1,200 people following us on Facebook, but half of those are from South America. Yeah. Yeah. So we know we have to, and the fact is we know that, so we got to cater to that.
You got to cater to where your biggest market
do a show or go approach that market or figure out what to do. So we got like get bands from there to do remixes. We wanted to get into France, and this is a DJ, Scott Duran, who's out of Louisiana, who's got Dark Indulgence. It's like one of the top shows every week, and he really made me aware of like, you could get more than enough people to remix your songs, but what market do you want to be in? I'm like, I'm not in France. So he's like, okay, Psychosomatic is in France. Why don't you reach out to Psychosomatic? And so he's like, this is who's in Psychosomatic. I go reach out to him on Facebook, start talking to him. Man, 3 months later, we both have done remixes for each other. He's getting me on every single show. He's teaching me how to speak French for radio IDs. It's like, it's nuts. And now we're already talking about doing other stuff,
That's
and the
awesome.
same in Germany and stuff like that. And it's just, there is no limits. The only limits is what you got up here in your head that you've been told is a limit. That's what I'm saying.
That's
It's
just
like,
it. If you don't perceive that as a limit, if you perceive that as just like another achievement
yeah,
for you to unlock type thing in video game speak, right? Then you're fucking laughing.
yeah. Welcome to the next level, man. You got
Exactly,
to get
dude.
there
You leveled
yourself.
up, bro. There you go.
Yeah, the game ain't gonna play itself.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And I mean, and Michael from Psychosomatic, he's been awesome, and like he even did a video. And so when you do a remix and then they do a video, you're going to get even more hits and get
Yeah.
more visibility. And so we've been showing up on these, more French, like all the French stations, and then we've been showing up on terrestrial radio too, which is you can get a lot more alternative music on terrestrial radio in some of these other countries. And we've been showing up on a lot of South American shows, and I don't know the different countries, but in a lot of Australian ones. And it's interesting because the first time you get outside the States, you're like, oh wow, this is a big moment. And then you're all of a sudden trying to keep up with it and don't know where you're at and trying to be more strategic around it, saying, okay, if I get this guy to do a remix, first of all, it has to be someone I like and respect and want to work with. But it takes me to an area I've never been in before, and that's all important. And this stuff comes back and it usually helps. There's a guy today reached out to me because of work I'd done with an artist that I didn't need to do, or I could have not done. And then now I'm going to do some additional work, and that'll turn into something else with someone else eventually.
You just keep stacking it up, and who knows where the hell it's going to go.
Yeah, exactly.
But the point is, if you're on a label, they tell you,
that.
oh, you can't do that. It's like, why?
Can't do that.
You think about, you would have never built what you've built already if you weren't independent, and that's the biggest thing that guys got to understand out there that are listening, that think they want to get into music and do all this and that. Like, the $1 million record deals don't exist. They haven't for a long fucking time. You're not going to make a goddamn dime on it. You have to build shit yourself. It really separates who's in it for the passion, who's in it to try to make a buck.
Yeah,
anybody that wanted to make a buck quit a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, it's like they say, like 5% of the musicians make 98 or 99% of the money or something like that, and then most of that money goes to other people.
Their PR team, their marketing, whatever,
legal and marketing and record label, all that stuff. Yeah. And sure, you see a few of them that look like they live a fancy life and stuff, and they may, but still, you look at the real big kings of it. You look at a Beyonce or Jay-Z, they own everything.
Yeah,
they own how you listen to it. You can't hear hardly any of their songs on Spotify or anything else.
Well,
there's
all
a
Tidal,
reason.
right? It's all Tidal.
Yeah, you got to do Tidal, and you got to pay $10 a month for Tidal. And Tidal is legit, and it is a better platform. But most of the people listening to it really don't understand why it's better. Yeah. They're just trying to get access to the music and the loyalty and stuff. Right. But to us too, it's like if we could build a fan base of, let's say, 10,000 people that are always going to buy your album. Mm-hmm. You could do a subscription model or a
Patreon or whatever.
Patreon or something like that. I think most people don't do a good job with that.
Yeah.
But it's got a good platform there. And you charge different tiers, say $20 a year, you get your digital streaming, everything that comes out. That's $40,000 a year for the or how many did I say? You get 10,000 people.
10,000.
Yeah, so you're looking at $200,000 a year. I mean, artists can survive off of that. And then you do another tier, it's $50, you get a physical CD, plus you get a Zoom behind the scenes, once a month or something. Or you do 100 and you get any physical, any media that comes out, every digital release, and a t-shirt and some behind the scene thing, and you get a ticket to any show, for $100. I mean, you could be making $2 million off of those, 10,000 people.
Jesus, you got a way better tier system than me. I was going to say, give me $20 a month. I'll call you every fucking day and call you a dickhead and say, get to work.
You got to go back to your production.
That's
so
right.
You can get done to get your show out too. You got to balance it out. It's like, what's his name? Oh man, I can't remember his name. He was the drummer for a bunch of punk bands, but he was in Nine Inch Nails for a while. But
Okay.
he went after he was playing with Nine Inch Nails for a couple of years on tour. His nickname was Flash Peanut, but I can't remember his name, his real name. But famous punk band too that he was in. But he started doing a not a Patreon, but it was like a Kickstarter, and he'd come wash your car. But of course, you had to be in LA within 20 miles. And then he'd eat lunch with you, or he'd make you a sandwich. You know, he had like the most bizarre things. I'm like, dude, if I was in LA, I would have bought every single one of those just to see what would happen.
You can make me a sandwich after you wash my car, and then we'll go out for whatever.
And then it would be weird because you're sitting there going, dude, this drummer I really like.
Just washing
kind
my
of
fucking car.
washing my car. I'm conflicted.
Yeah.
My
You
whole
don't
world
have to
just
do
went upside
that,
down.
but thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And now do I not respect them or do I respect them more? I just don't. Josh Freeze, that's who it was.
Yeah,
Freeze.
thank you, Josh Freeze. Yes.
Josh Freeze. And he's an awesome dude. I've got to meet him a couple times. And I've met some part of why I wanted to get into music because I'd met so many cool artists like that and I wasn't into music. I'm like, what if I wasn't in music, man? I would have made all these great connections already. But now I got to start all over there. But yeah, Josh is one of those guys that's phenomenal drummer. And he's on more albums than most people even realize that he is. And sometimes he gets credit, sometimes he doesn't. He makes a good living at it. But his first Kickstarter was so funny. It was just like that was literally what it was. It was like make you a sandwich, wash your car. It was like so bizarre. But yeah, it was funny. And luckily I had met him and I kind of understood kind of like the personality.
Yeah.
You know, because I had talked to him for a few minutes, you know.
Right.
It was just like it's just weird. But then like I met David J from Bauhaus Love and Rockets, bass player, phenomenal musician, phenomenal poet. Like he's like the esoteric, you know, musician that is just like the perfect example of what our musicians were when we were growing up, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can have those anymore. You know, I don't think they're going to exist anymore.
No.
But there's no mystery anymore. There's no like, you know, there's no like kind of, it's almost like everything's a movie and there's no more books, you know, like when you read a book, you fill in a lot of it, you know, when you don't know that much about the artist, you fill in a lot of it. And he did a show at my house. And I'm like, dude, I got this guy. He's going to do the show at my house. He's one of my favorite musicians in the world. And then he was telling me, he's like, Eric, I got to make this entrance through something. I can't just stand here and start playing. And he was trying to explain to me before I was doing writing music professionally and like about the mystery and all this stuff. And I learned it from him because he told me like 3 times in 3 different situations. And like I went and saw him play at his house, which he was living at the apartment that's across from the famous church Scientology building in LA you see on TV all the time.
Yeah.
That's also where Jim Morrison used to live at before he went to Paris and died. Mm-hmm. And so there's like all this history in this particular place. And, you know, I remember him walking through and explaining it and stuff like that. And he was really concerned about messing up like my appreciation for him as an artist and the mystery.
Like you're pulling back the shroud and you're not.
Yeah, exactly. Looking behind the curtain. You know,
you see the zipper on the monster costume.
Exactly. He was very concerned about it. And the fact that he was so concerned about it added like another cool kind of level to it. But it was weird. I ended up doing a bunch of things with them. I wish I was doing professional music at the time. But there was a bunch of posts online for like a year, like different shows, like secret shows. I was the only person in the audience one time. You know, it was like just weird things. He was at my house. And then his brother comes through, Kevin Haskins comes through and does a show in Dallas. And I'm with my buddy and like we see him on the street. And we didn't even like say anything to him. And he turned and saw us walking behind him. And he stopped. He's like, I know you. And it's because he saw me so many times in pictures with his brother, David J. Like, he just, like, remembered me from those pictures. And my buddy's like, you got to be kidding me. This guy recognized you? Yeah. He didn't even say anything. He stopped you.
He didn't even say nothing. Yeah, he stopped you, yeah.
Yeah, I said, he's probably wondering, he just thinks I'm a friend of the family or something, you know? Yeah. But it was just, it's weird. You know, it's just like, there is that mystery thing that I think we're going to lose. And I think we've probably lost it already. And you're never going to have that again.
There's no more mystery again. Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah. So now do you put everything online and have like a behind the scenes thing? It kind of started with the Osbournes, right? And or do you purposely put that shroud up there, but then you have a handicap for marketing to people in the way they want to be marketed to today because they want full access to everything, you know?
That's right. Yeah. What
It's
do
a
you do?
weird balance. Is like how do you balance that? You know, and that's something every artist has to deal with big time.
I think I'd probably just make it readily available. You know, I'd be like,
Yeah.
here you go. Fuck it. There's no there's no bells and whistles. It is what it is. That's what
Yeah.
you get, type thing. I don't know, but the mystery's cool too.
Yeah. Well, and then there's things too, is like people aren't seeing what's, you know, our backgrounds, right? And you're in a room, you know, white wall behind you. I have my whole studio behind me,
Fuck
right?
all, yeah.
But how many times do you see musicians where they're like in their bedroom and you see the bed behind them and you see the dog sitting on the bed and you're like, is that what I want to see from my favorite musician? You know, or my
Right.
favorite new
It's
musician,
like,
or do I want to see him in like this moody, dark, smoky room with some candlelights
yeah.
flickering?
That should, yeah, yeah. I talk
You
about that a
know,
lot too. It's like you put these guys up on such a pedestal, or you have such an idea in your mind of what they're like. And it's like, hey, sir, I was just fucking talking to you from the toilet, you know, type thing.
reminds me, I'm gonna have to light some incense just to set the mood a little bit
They're
more.
perfect. There you go.
You know,
But I think that's what a buddy of mine said when I told him I was so nervous to talk to Max Cavalera. He's like one of my favorite musicians and this and that. And he's like, well, yeah, but like he's just a person, man. He's just a guy. And I was like,
well, how'd
but he's
how'd you
fucking
how'd
Max
you get
Cavalera.
over that? How'd you deal with that? Like, were you nervous talking to him?
I was at first until he talked to me first. Like,
And
you
did
know,
he make it easier for you to be able to
yes,
get over that? Like, he was very aware
100%,
of it.
very much. I don't know if he was aware that I was nervous, but he was a very personable, friendly, you know, normal human being, like just a dude talking. We
Did
called
you
him
get
Uncle
hung up?
Max, but
Did you
no,
get hung up talking to him? Like you
no.
had a plan, or
I literally kind of just did what we were doing now. And
that's good.
we just talked. And it
You
was
got a knack for it. I mean, a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people will get just stuck and they call it starstruck or whatever.
mhm,
But even if it's not a star or someone they look up to, they still get stuck. But
yeah.
just being able to get the conversation going.
Mhm.
And if you get someone that isn't going to do it for you,
It's
that
hard.
could be
That's
very
hard.
awkward.
I've had a couple where it's like, fuck, just say something. Like, you know, pulling teeth a little bit, but it's all good.
And
It's
then you got
fun.
to ask them some weird ass
Well,
question
then
that
you know what I
hopefully
mean. Then
doesn't
yeah,
offend them.
yeah. It's like so.
So back in that one, the
Yeah.
third track on the second album,
And how?
on the
When did you
on the second
realize? Yeah.
chorus, why was it a little bit off key?
Did you know that?
And yeah, did you do that on purpose, or was it, you know, it
You
was like you're
panned
like,
too far right on that snare, and I couldn't.
yeah, exactly. Is it supposed to be panned left that one time,
Yeah.
or did I just point out a big error on your whole album
Shit.
that you paid
If
half a
I
million dollars for?
Yeah, if I throw this fucking thing in the garbage right now with you watching it, will you cry for me? Thank you. Yeah. You know, it's such a weird thing, but I have fun with it. I have a damn good time.
I think you gotta have fun with it.
Yeah.
It's like I was talking to you know, talking to a couple of different people and go, how can you do these things different? I was thinking about doing a show, but it would take away too much from recording music. But I was thinking about doing a show where I had interviewed all the people that remixed my songs.
That'd be cool.
You know, it would be cool, right?
Damn cool, man.
You
But
know,
then
you
that's just
talk
one more
about,
thing you got to do.
and nobody else could do that because nobody else could talk to them about remixing my songs, you know. But you know, you could get, and I was just thinking the caliber of some of the people who have done it, you know, that would help get more likes and fans,
More
or whatever,
traffic
more
too. Yeah.
CDs, more traffic. Yeah. But it would be interesting too, and go, hey, when you got this track, you know, just be honest. Like, you're like, oh crap, I got to deal with this piece of shit, or like, oh man, it was halfway done for me, and I knew what I was going to do, and
Yeah.
or you know, I struggled with it,
Yeah.
or
I didn't
I
even
barely
try on
remember
this
it.
song. Who the
Yeah.
fuck are you? Yeah. It's like, oh,
Yeah, exactly.
damn
I
it.
just put it through this one VST I have on my computer,
I
and
just
it was
sent it
done.
back. Yeah. So it didn't
Yeah.
change anything. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, some of these guys I've talked to, like the stuff they tell you when they're working on the tracks, especially when it's back and forth and more collaborative,
Mhm.
you know, yeah, that's the kind of things that I think people are interested in, or I would be
Yeah.
interested in. And if I'm interested in, then 3 other people are probably interested in it.
That's right.
Maybe 300. I don't know, but
Who
at least
knows?
3.
You know, and that's what I think too. When I started doing this, I was like, I never even thought I'd have an audience or listeners or people that give a fuck. You know, now it's like I've been doing this. I've only been tracking like stats since June, and I've got almost 2,800 fucking downloads.
Pretty
Like,
good.
that's pretty decent, I think, for me,
Yeah.
for someone who didn't think I'd have fucking one. You know,
Yeah.
like shit, that's not bad.
And you're from Canada.
And I'm from Canada, and that's just
And
on
totally handicapped right there.
exactly. Nobody gives a fuck about Canada. I'm way up here in the sticks, dude. There's nothing up here.
In Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. It's I was the same way as I was doing my business one, and it was really picking up steam. And most people around the world know who Mark Cuban is, the owner of Mavericks.
Yeah.
And my second episode, I was supposed to interview him.
Seriously?
Yeah, I was totally. I snuck into a VIP event just to go meet him. I cornered him, and I knew somebody that used to like be a friend of his, and he told me a personal thing I could say that would get his attention, and it worked. And I cornered him, and he spent 15 minutes talking to me. So it was my second show. I fucking messed up the recording. And so the whole episode, what I decided to do is talk the whole thing up like I was going to play the interview. And then I played like the only 5-second clip I had from him. But I have like these pictures that he took with me. And he's a very tall guy compared to me. And so he took all the pictures and stuff, and he recorded something about how I didn't know how to use my phone. You know, he was very funny, but he told me a killer story, and it was awesome, and everybody loved it. And I had a lot of momentum, and I went on, did a couple seasons, did about 60 episodes, and then I got to a point where I'm just like, it's not fulfilling, you know, something else. And that's where I'm like, I really need to focus on music.
Yeah.
And at first I was going to do a podcast talk, you know, go interview bands and do like a quality podcast, go to the show so I could give cooler access and go meet the bands. That was really what I wanted. Yeah. And then I'm like, as soon as I started doing that and putting all the pieces in place and making that work, I'm like, dude, I just want to do this myself. Yeah. I just want to go write music. And so I had to like have this moment. It was hard. And I'm glad I did it because I like the fact that, you know, we've been putting out all this music and stuff and want to keep doing it. But we're getting the benefit of meeting all these people in a more meaningful way. And I think that, you know, I'm not disparaging you when interviewing bands or anything like that, or going to see them at a show to interview them, because that's a massive thing that we need as a band, right? And we appreciate it. And any show where you talk to the musician or talk about the music is rare and is important, right? Because there's so many people that are just playing the music, and you need both. But if you had only one of those things, it just doesn't work. And you need a good mix of that stuff. And sometimes it's the way you talk about something, or you having me on here today, or I mean tonight, and you know, that's one more person that hears it. Yeah. And that's all that really matters when it comes down to it. You've done your job, you've accomplished your goal, I've accomplished my goal, and we have a common goal. And then we get to meet each other and talk, which is an awesome thing. And that's the same. Yeah. And that's what I liked about the concept of doing the show, is because I get to meet these guys. But then what happens when it doesn't click and it doesn't work out right, you know? But and that'll happen, and then you're just kind of, well, I guess that can happen.
It doesn't happen as often, you know, as I thought it would. You know, to be honest, I've made solid, you know, people are fucking cool, man. But you know, there's maybe been like 2 that I didn't fucking click with.
I gotta imagine they're used to dealing with people that are super aggressive.
Yeah, probably.
And are assholes about things.
Probably, right?
Better than them, you know.
Yeah, I hate that.
You know, and you're chill. You know, you've got like a thing. You got a genuine interest. Mm-hmm. You've got this like relaxed vibe about you, and you just, it's just like we're hanging out and drinking a beer, or smoking a cigar or something. You know?
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I tell people when they say they want to call. It's like, I've never done this before. It's like, fuck, perfect. Who cares? I'm just going to talk to you. No big deal. Or they ask, should I? What questions are you going to ask me? Should I prepare anything? It's like, I don't know what I'm going to ask you, dude. I'm just going to talk to you.
Yeah, if you don't know how to talk about what your passion is, then you shouldn't be on my show.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah. If you can't talk, then don't come on here. I don't know. If you can't talk.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have met, you know, some bands this year that, man, I don't know if it's a bad day. Maybe it is, or, because we're always going through so much shit, especially artists, because
Mm-hmm.
they all have other jobs. And that's part of the mystery too, right? It's like 10 years ago, you didn't know most of your bands were working at Starbucks,
That's
or in a
right.
warehouse job, right?
That's
Or at
right.
Michael's or whatever.
Yeah.
But now you know that.
Yeah.
And it takes something away from it, but it adds something different to it.
I think it just adds a whole new, it adds a whole new dynamic to the whole thing. It's like these guys
Yeah.
have to bust their ass to get their dream. They go on tour. Then when they come off tour, if they're between tour cycles, 9 out of 10 are going back to find another job because they're not at that superstar level. I
Yeah.
remember hearing from Max Cavalera himself when he was saying that when he was signed to Roadrunner Records, they had a fucking $7 a day per
Per
diem.
diem. Oh my
$7.
God.
Like it's like you're in Soulfly, Sepultura, and you're getting $7 a day for food while you're on tour. That
Yeah.
is fucked.
Yeah. And everybody looks at that as the top.
That's what I was saying. It's like, and you're like,
Yeah.
you're here
That's
because
as
you're
good as
Max
you're going to
Cavalera.
get.
Yeah, that's like,
Yeah.
holy shit, dude. That's crazy. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's insane. And then the live shows, people go, "Oh, you make all your money doing live shows." I go, "Well, you only make the money doing the live shows if you're fronting all of the risk and all the money for the live shows,
because all the money
and it
goes
right.
to yeah.
Yeah, if not, then all of a sudden someone else is doing that, and they get all the money, and then they bring in sponsors, and they get their money, and you're getting a per diem again.
Yeah.
And it's your live show, but it's their business.
Yeah, all the venue gets a cut, the staff working that night gets a cut, the sound guy gets a cut, the tour manager gets a cut, the merch people working your table get a cut. You get the little piece of the pie after near the
How
fucking
come
top.
more bands haven't done like a 2020 like tour shirt? Like 2020 coronavirus tour shirt. How come more bands haven't done? I've only
It's a
seen
fucking good idea. You better patent that right now.
Yeah, exactly. They could sell the shirts for $20 and make more money than they would at the tour, and sell it for $30 less.
That's right. Why not? That's a damn good idea.
Sell VIP badges, sell all the stuff so everyone will remember this.
It was the 2020 tour. On the back, it could just say, "We didn't play shit," but list all the dates.
Yeah, we survived 2020.
We survived 2020.
Yeah, it's just,
that's a damn good idea.
Yeah, I think more bands should do that. I mean, I haven't seen one do that, but even Nine Inch Nails put out 3 new shirts, and I'm like, what about a fake tour shirt? How about the like, what was they had a tour? It was it could be like the Broken tour, like 2020's Broken tour. It's like, or the End of the World tour. Like, name it after 10 of their songs that would be appropriate. For this year, or any lyric from almost any song.
So
Pigface did. We're playing everywhere at the same time tour, or something like that. That's what their one show is on Saturday. I thought that was funny.
That's hilarious.
And he's Martin Atkins is always clever about that stuff. But I wish more bands would be more clever, and that's one of the things we want to bring to it, is just be more clever about that, and not, we're not growing up in doing this thing in the era of where you have to do it a certain way. Now there's
no rules anymore, dude. You just fucking go for it and try to be cool and like test yourself and see what you can do. It's like, holy fuck, I did that.
I got an idea I'm not going to tell you about, because if I tell you about it, everyone's going to do it. I'm going to do it next month, and then we'll talk about it next month when we do it. Yeah. And it'll be like, this was the idea I was referring to.
Let's do it. I'll have you back here next month anytime.
That'd be awesome.
I'm wide open in November. We can hype up the Christmas shows. I want to hear these Christmas songs you're doing.
It's going to be dark.
It's so good. Dark. I love it. I want to do a Christmas Mixcloud list, the Christmas Outcast show. That'd be funny.
I saw Typo Negative. They opened up for Nine Inch Nails Bizarre. Just saying that out loud. They opened up for Nine Inch Nails. Yeah, and what was even weirder is before Typo Negative, it was a lesbian Playboy model band called the Femmes or Fembots or Lesbots or something. But they were just weird, but they were awesome. It was just bizarre that they were there. And then Typo Negative comes out, and I forget the guy's name, the tall lead singer.
Peter Steele.
Yes. And he comes out, and he's like, "Man, this microphone smells like pussy." And we're like, "Okay, you're so clever. Okay, get it over with." So he starts going, we're we're gonna do this first song is the Ozzy Osbourne song, and he couldn't recognize it because he's playing it so fucking slow. Like he's playing it like halftime or less, and everyone's like, "That's not a." Everyone's talking to each other, right? It's like full. The place is full. It's like that's not an Ozzy Osbourne song. And we're here to see Nine Inch Nails, by the way. Just remind you.
Yeah.
And then so he gets in like the second song, and he does one of their songs. He stops in the middle of it, and he wouldn't do any of the popular songs. So they had a couple popular songs on the radio back then, and then he starts talking about Trent Reznor, and he's like, Trent Reznor's a faggot. He's gay. That's why this smells like pussy on. He had this in his pants. You know, he just starts talking this weird shit, and people just start booing him and throwing shit at him. And I had this keychain that they were giving away. You know, they're not going to do this anymore. But the radio station giving away these hard plastic keychains. I threw it, hit him like right in the forehead, and you know that gotta hurt. You know, it gets your attention. I feel like an idiot talking about it now, but he was like yelling at me and my brother and other people in the audience, like singling us out. He jumps off the stage, and he did it in this really like careful way too. It was kind of funny. So
Ginger just didn't want to hurt himself.
Yeah, he didn't want to hurt himself.
He's gonna fuck you up, but whoa, easy.
Yeah, and he was like coming at me, and my brother like gets in between because my brother's like almost a foot taller than me, and he's like doesn't even get to him because the whole crowd like crowds in on him. Two bouncers come in, grab him, pull him out of the audience, and they kick him out of the venue.
They kicked him out of the venue.
Yeah, and they're on the side there. He started it. He jumped into the crowd and went because they didn't see me throw the thing at him or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But they kicked him out, and the guitar player and the keyboard guy, and they didn't have a drummer for some reason that show. And the guitar player and the keyboard player and the bass player, it was like, or a second guitar player, they were all looking at each other like they weren't surprised. They're just like kind of nodding their heads. Then they were just waiting, and they're just kind of going through the same riff and looping it for like 5 or 6 minutes. And then the guitar player just puts the guitar down and walks off stage, and the keyboard and the other guy walk off stage a minute later, and that was it. They're like, well, okay, whatever.
Okay.
But one part of me is like, that was funny and fun as shit, and then I feel bad because I wouldn't want to be the opposite situation.
Yeah.
But you can't be coming and making fun of the headlining band,
no,
you know, to the crowd that is there to see that band and not wanting to see you.
That's just it. It's like, you are the openers. Nobody came for you.
Yeah. Respect. Have some respect, you know. But or like when an opening band does a song, like we saw Nitzareb. The first time I saw Nitzareb live, they were opening for Depeche Mode in LA at Dodger Stadium, some crazy huge place that the Depeche Mode used to play. 50,000, 100,000 people or something like that. 50,000 people. Nitzareb has 2 songs back then that sound kind of like Depeche Mode songs. And they played the first one, and people just started throwing shit at them because they thought they were playing a Depeche Mode song. And I was just like, dude, this band is so awesome. This is better than Depeche Mode. It was like I was blown away because I never heard of Nitzareb before. And then I'm like, oh, it does sound like a Depeche. I thought it was a Depeche
It does sound like a Depeche Mode.
I didn't care. I'm like, that's awesome.
Move,
yeah, that's bold. Yeah. And like they got taken off stage, man. And they couldn't even complete the damn song. So I've always wondered about them. Like, can you do a cover song of the band you're opening for? You know,
wouldn't that be something to just get out there and do it? That'd be pretty ballsy.
Peter Murphy was funny. He's like, he was doing Hurt, and he's like, I wrote this song, and this guy, this little punk rock guy, stole it from me. Like, you know, he was totally making it up. Like, you knew he was just fucking around. But it was funny how he was like, this is my song, and he stole it from me. And then Johnny Cash stole it from me. And then, you know, it was like, he was just fucking around. It was just like so weird to see him doing that. But that's the closest I think I've ever gotten to seeing kind of that surreal kind of like moment where people are covering other people's songs and just doing it in a weird way. You know, it's just it's bizarre.
That's hilarious. That's funny. Well, man, yeah, like I said, let's do it again next month, November sometime.
All right, sounds good. I'll hit you up.
Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll do it in November, and then, that'll probably be good. Yeah, we'll do that in November, and then I'll have some more stuff. Then and we'll have some interesting things to talk about that'll develop between now and then. I'm sure I don't even know about. But I will tell you about the idea I have because I'll make sure it happens by then, and you'll be like, Dude, that's a great
Tell
idea.
tell us where we can find your live shows you're doing.
All right, so the easiest way to find us is on Facebook. Just go to Spank the Nun. Spank the Nun will find us anywhere you search it. Spank the Nun, one word. Part of why we have that name, so no, it doesn't get confused. If you spell Spank the Nun with spaces in it, you're going to get all sorts of other
All
websites
sorts
you
of weird
probably
shit.
enjoy.
One.
You probably enjoy it, but it's not us. So our live stuff is going to be on our YouTube channel. You need to go and subscribe and get your friends to subscribe so we can get enough views to go change it to Spank the Nun on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah.
But we're pretty close actually. But you go to our YouTube channel, search Spank the Nun. All of our live shows are being rebroadcast up there. We have a Twitch channel. Go follow us the Twitch channel. Once a week, we'll jump online and we'll do a sound check, or we'll do a 30-minute like pre-show before we go do the live show, and we'll be fucking around and doing shit you won't hear anywhere else. We're doing weird experimental stuff that I don't even know what it is sometimes, that we're just trying out through the streaming. And follow us on Twitch. You'll find it on there.
Fucking perfect, man. Perfect. That's awesome. It was a pleasure talking to you, Eric. Eric from Spank the Nun, guys. That was awesome.
Well, thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. We'll see you again next month. We'll talk. We'll figure out a day.
All right. Sounds good. I'll hit you up.
All right, man. Take care, buddy.
Take care.
Peace
See ya.
out.